rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. You know, I have some liberal leftist lunatic moron on Facebook who accused me of being chicken. That's right. Only because of the fact that as a part of my profile, just like all of my social media profile pages, I don't have a picture of me. I have a picture of my logo as the avatar. Obviously, this leftist lunatic moron doesn't realize I am live on video every single night except Sundays. I mean, this is how stupid these people are. It's not like I have any of that hidden. You can go and just click on a video and boom, there I am. Hello. Anyway, he seems to think he or she, I'm assuming it's a he based off of the name. Of course, then again, you know, with these liberal leftist lunatics, they have literally no idea who they are. But anyway, other than the fact that they know that they're part of the Borg hive mind. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's hilarious to watch him because by the way, he's acting like all big and bad. Now, understand, I'm not acting big and bad. I'm just simply disagreeing with them and telling them they're a moron, which is true. But he's sitting there and he's like, you hide behind a logo. And I'm going, because I'm on video every single night, except Sundays. So, yeah. Or in the case of my, Down Under fans, I'm on Sunday mornings. Yeah, Becky just reminded me of that. Anyway, all right. Yeah, so here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight we have Judge Wild on tap for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mind, please stand. Remove your hat, if you're wearing one like me. And place your hand over your heart and follow along with Judge Wild as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, yeah. Hurrah.
You know, Judge has got one of those radio voices. Anyway, thank you, Judge, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge or reciting the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that is created, and attach it to an email. Send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. Tonight's headline sponsor is none other than the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission. That is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God, which that leftist lunatic moron doesn't agree with. 2, our rights come from him, which that leftist lunatic moron doesn't understand. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up, and while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content, to learn about our historical founding, and support the show in the process. That's IOTC.AmericanPerspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous, yay, Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take a look at this thing. It's got sexy rounded corners, according to my Rumble Whiskey Warriors. It's got an 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. There is no glue here, folks. Nope, no cheap glue. It is stitched all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if something does go wrong, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you study for your civics badge in Scouts. It'll probably also help you study for your civics exam, if they still have those, by the way. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours today. And of course, while you are there, check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings. As I promised you, they are a fantastic affiliate, and I do appreciate them for allowing me to be an affiliate of theirs. All right. Well, the party is really kicking off over on the Rumble camp. They are all over the place over there, man. Let's see, Polish Dog. I see Coco D, insert name here. I see Squishy. Bonnie, 3 Chevy, Buddy Weiser's back, and yes, the document that I just showed you is 100% constitutional. Let's see, who else? I called out 3 Chevy, I called out Buddy, I called out Bonnie. There's U.S. Abby Girl is in there as well. Of course, Becky's over there. Becky from Down Under. Good day. And let's see, I don't see anybody else in there. I think My News was saying that she wasn't going to make it. And I haven't seen Nana yet. I did say Abby. I think I already got that. Yeah, I think I got everybody. So anyway, thank you all for showing up. It is fantastic. I do appreciate that. Yes, Bam Bam Bam. Did I say Bam? I hope I said Bam. Bam, bam, bam. Yep, she's got her own little icon over there, too. I got special little emotes that I can add to the Rumble channel. So if there's something that comes up, you know, if you guys have something or whatever, I can hopefully try and figure out how to get it in as an emote. I still have some space. There. But anyway, Bam is invisible, she says. All right. Well, anyway. All right. So yesterday, we talked about a little bit briefly. Yesterday we talked briefly about James Comey and John Brennan being under investigation. Well, John Brennan, he gave a reaction to it. He had to find one of those safe spaces, one of those special spaces that the leftists have to go to because, you know, God forbid they actually get confronted by truth, facts, evidence, logic, reason, so on and so forth. Okay. Basically he found that oasis in MSNBC, which is a nice safe space for all leftist lunatic morons, because that's what they do. They are the leftist lunatic morons that, yeah. Anyway, well, he went and ran to his safe space. So let's go and take a listen to what he said about the entire investigation.
I testified in front of many, many congressional committees in the House and the Senate over the years, and I continue to explain exactly what we did during this process, why we tried to make sure we stayed true to our intelligence responsibilities and that we were not going to do anything at all to try to interfere in that election. And again, it was a challenging time, but also one I think that the people who actually worked this, both in terms of trying to collect intelligence prior to the election, and then the ones who put together the intelligence community assessment, they really, I think, showed the best of what the intelligence community and what CIA is made of. So, again, I am clueless about what it is exactly that they may be investigating me for.
No, he actually said the truth. Believe it or not, that very last statement, he said, I am clueless. He could have stopped right there and would have been just perfectly fine. Well, let's face it, just like a lot of other things, yeah, they're not gonna. He's not gonna go. He's not gonna get anything. They're gonna be investigating. They probably will nothing will ever come of it, you know. And even if something does, it'll probably just be a slap on the wrist or whatever. So anyway, but yeah, he doesn't understand why things happen that way. Well, gee, could it be because you pushed to put in an unverified report that was paid for by the political opposition into a technical, intelligence briefing? Intelligence being the operative word. There was no intelligence in your actions, for sure. And so, yeah, that's just, it's just one of the things that, yeah, we'll have to see him. These people are just they're just morons. That's all there is. I can't even come up with anything really. I mean, trying to be halfway, not vulgar. I can't even come up with any kind of a name really for them other than morons, because that's what they are. This is a message that goes out to Coco D. Insert name here. Coco D. Insert name here. You say you're at the bottom of the totem pole, but that's actually a misnomer. The people at the bottom were the ones that were the most valued in many of the native cultures that did totem poles. The reason being is because the person at the bottom was holding up everybody else. So there you go. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Well, ICE has been running around the country, going to different places and nabbing people. And here in LifeZet, they have some great news for the folks in Minnesota. Walls, Minnesota. Yeah. ICE nabs dozens of illegal alien, pedophiles roaming freely in Walls, Minnesota. So, if you're a child in Minnesota, your risk level has just dropped thanks to the fact that ICE has nabbed dozens of these people off the streets. You know, these leftist lunatics, they all sit there talking about, oh, they're just grabbing people off the streets, they're grabbing Americans. They're grabbing people, just, masked men show up and they just grab people. Yeah, well, that's because they weren't supposed to be here in the first place. According to this piece in LifeZet, ICE has arrested multiple illegal aliens convicted of sex crimes during a targeted operation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. According to a press release issued Wednesday by the Department of Homeland Security. The enforcement action took place from June 6th to June 11th of 2025 and led to the apprehension of individuals previously convicted of serious sexual offenses involving minors. And I'm not talking about the people who dig in the earth, I'm talking about the young children. The DHS release confirmed that the arrested individuals include Laotian, I think I pronounced that correct, and Thai nationals illegally present in the United States, several of whom have been previously convicted of child sex crimes. Now, it's kind of funny. The left seems to believe that these roundups, that these ICE raids are essentially, going after what the left, of course, calls as all the brown people. Yeah, they're not brown. They're just anybody who's an illegal alien. It doesn't matter. And I pointed out to one of these morons, I said, it's kind of interesting. You Democrats seem to dwell on the skin color of these individuals. You don't seem to recognize the fact that they're illegal aliens. They are literally criminals the second that they cross the border without the proper paperwork. And, yeah. So, anyway. Yeah. So, it's not just the South Americans, meaning Mexicans and so on and so forth. But, yeah. So the arrests, of course, were part of a broader ICE initiative targeting non-citizens who have committed violent and sexual offenses while residing unlawfully within the United States. And those are the keys. Violent and sexual offenses, and, of course, residing unlawfully within the U.S. So there you go. I'm not going to go through all the names and everything else. You can go and take a look here, but there's a bunch of individuals that they have names worth. Yeah. But here's some of the convictions that they have. Second-degree assault, sexual assault of a child. Second-degree sexual assault of a child. Here's another one that is lewd and lascivious acts with a child under the age of 14. Then there's a third-degree criminal sexual conduct, a fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct, ranging from another one has ranging from first to third degree criminal sexual conduct. Soliciting of a minor. Prior conviction involving sexual abuse of a minor. Yeah. And the DHS statement directly discussed Minnesota Governor Tampon Tim Walz's issue and his enforcement or his approach to immigration enforcement. And the statement read as a part of the release, under Tim Walz's leadership, these depraved individuals have been walking freely around Minneapolis with impunity, terrorizing American children. Yep. Yeah, these people are just... Now, Tom Homan, of course, he commented this week on upcoming enforcement strategies. He just says, we're prepared to triple down. I love Tom. Oh, I love Tom. Tom is just so... He's just a no-nonsense, straightforward, bulldog kind of guy. That's just the way he is, and he is the perfect fit for all of this, I'm just saying. So anyway, so all of you young people who happen to live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you should feel a lot safer now for all of that. So, anyway. Well, the Democrats are starting to realize that maybe they have a real problem on their hands. And there are some that are actually saying that the party itself may be the permanent minority unless it changes course. Meaning quits heading off to the extreme left. Here in the Daily Caller, a host of leading younger Democrats are crafting a new group aiming to prevent the party from being in the permanent minority, the New York Times reported today. Members of the group, which is called Majority Democrats, are attempting to recruit new candidates and develop messaging to help boost the Democrat Party's image and reverse its recent electoral fortunes, according to, again, the New York Times. If we, Minnesota Representative, I just like saying it that way. It's just, Mark Levin says it that way, and I just like saying it that way. It's pretty cool. But anyway, Minnesota Rep. Angie Craig, which is one of the leaders of the effort, told the New York Times, if we don't build this big tent party that can win majorities, we're on the path of being the party of the permanent minority from a national election perspective. I got an idea for you, Democrats. Heave ho your leftist, lunatic, communist, socialist morons that are running around in your party and seem to have taken over with the idea that, things like government control is the best thing in the world and is what we're having and so on and so forth. No, that's just an example. There's so many. Jumping on the bandwagon of illegal aliens instead of being like the party of, say, Bill Clinton and even Barack Obama, who talked about illegal immigration is a bad thing. Maybe getting back to more of the central or centrist ideas. Maybe that would actually, or even better yet, not just centrist ideas, but actually ideas of Americanism. Maybe embracing things like Donald Trump, because regardless of what everybody thinks, Donald Trump is not what would be considered an extreme right-winger. He is a moderate. He is a centrist, more so than anything else. So all of this is just, again, you saw Elon Musk with his party trying to create a new party. You see this as well. It very well could be that the American people are just getting a little tired of the fact that we have two political parties and neither one of them have really done anything for us. But honestly, what we need to do is we need to get back to our constitutional roots. We need to get back to the Constitution. We need to get back to the originalist ideas that created and formed this country. And so that simply stated and simply speaking definitely needs to be one of those things where we bring everybody back to the center, not so much on the extremes. And so this is where, all of this infighting in the Democrat Party and some of the infighting in the Republican Party, maybe this is an indication that it's time to actually do things that are good for America. Period. So Angie Craig also told the New York Times she believes the Democrat Party promoting anti-Trump messaging might win a midterm election, but said that it's not going to build lasting majorities. The Minnesota Democrat added that we've got to lay out the case for what we're for as a party. And what you're for as a party is 100% government control. What you're for as a party is zero borders. What you're for as a party is for taxes and regulations and no personal responsibility and no personal accountability and no freedom. And anyone who doesn't agree with you should be shut up. That's what you're for. Don't sit here and try and tell me you're planning on remaking your party. We already know what you're for, Democrats. We already know this. What you're saying, though, is you need to formulate a better mask to cover all of this. That's what you need. Now, Craig is running for a competitive Senate seat in Minnesota in the 2026 midterms. Her primary opponent, which is a Democrat also, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, was leading Craig by a 30-point margin, according to a public policy polling survey released in February. Majority Democrats, that group, consists of roughly 30 Democrat leaders from all levels of government, according to the New York Times. Anyway, the outlet's report comes as Democrat lawmakers are attempting to remake their party's brand ahead of the upcoming midterm elections and 2028 White House race. Again, you want to remake your brand, folks? It's really simple. It's really not that hard. Get on board with America First and the America First agenda. That's it. Because, again, Donald Trump is not some sort of a right-wing extremist. Donald Trump is more of a centrist. And that's part of the reason why we have so many Republicans who are actually trying to stand against him, because he is not one of the extreme Republicans, regardless of what Hakeem Jeffries tries to tell you about the extreme MAGA Republicans, no, most of us are not that extreme. We just want America first policies and a attention to the Constitution and an attention to the fact that American values and standards have been ripped down and torn away. But hey, you know what? Go for it. If that's what you really want to do, I guarantee you your policies are not going to change that much from what they are today. And by the way, on that whole midterm thing, yeah, I doubt that's going to happen. We'll have to see, but I doubt it's going to happen. You know, another indication that things are not going well on the Democrat side is the fact that you have John Kerry, Lurch himself. He's actually come out now on record and saying, you know, Trump was right. Trump was right here. Yep. Trump was right. The Daily Signal. Trump was right on immigration, John Kerry says. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Immigration and illegal immigration, what the Biden administration did was against an 80-20 thought process for the American people. Okay? And so he's sitting here, the John Kerry is basically telling now, he's admitting to the fact that he told Joe Biden that Democrats missed on the issue of immigration. He said that his party allowed the border to continue to be sieged. Now, Kerry, who served as Secretary of State under President Barack Obama, said on Thursday during an interview with BBC this, and basically said that President Donald Trump was right on the issue of immigration. He was there he said it while he was discussing some of the reasons that Democrats lost the 2024 election, adding that the issue is that we all should have been right. Well, no, actually what you did is you took your guy who was obviously cognitive declined and shucked him off the cliff, at the same time embracing a woman who clearly did not have the chops to make it in the office. And you decided, of course, to bring that woman on without even so much as a primary. Yeah. So, anyway. You know, the whole idea, of course, is trying to, in terms of trying to get elected, embracing extremist ideas is not a way to necessarily do it. And that's why Joe Biden, he ran, honestly, the whole reason why everybody voted for Joe Biden in 2020 is, first of all, they believed that Donald Trump was the extremist. They believed that Joe Biden was just going to reside in his basement and not do anything. Basically just sit there and do nothing. And what ended up happening is we ended up getting a person, an individual who had lost their mental faculties, were easily manipulated and controlled. And all of a sudden, all of the policies coming out of the administration took a very hard left. And that's essentially what happened. I mean, we can argue over the fact of the cheating and you know, all of the different other stuff that goes on. And it's just relitigating things that are water under the bridge. But the point of it, all of this is that Joe Biden, most of the people who voted for Joe Biden, they voted for him because they felt that he was just going to be the doddering old fool sitting in the White House and nothing much was going to change. And that didn't happen. So there you go. Anyway, it also didn't help that things like multiple citizens being brutally murdered by illegal aliens during the Biden administration, it didn't help that crime rates rose during the Biden administration. It also didn't help that Biden administration brought on the highest inflation rates that we have seen in 40 years. All things that went against the middle of the road or the centrist Americans. So anyway, yeah. So there you go. Just a complete wreck. Yeah, not that I really would take John Kerry's advice either, to be honest with you, because John Kerry was actually wrong on a bunch of things, including Iran. But I digress. All right, let me go ahead and tell you about coffee, because I certainly don't need a cup right now. I'm kind of excited at the moment. But in the mornings when I roll out of bed early to get my 9 to 5 job going, which is not 9 to 5, okay, I I have to drink a 16-ounce mug of coffee. And so this is a great ad for coffee. Right here, if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now it's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. There's a small number of units available. And in this 1775 starter kit, you're going to try everything that they have. You're going to get a bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check. You're going to get a smooth medium roast. And you're also going to get their Vitality Mushroom Coffee, which has clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All of these coffees are single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also going to get, as a part of this kit, a gold spoon clip. This is my favorite, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. You'll also get a frother that's strong enough to stir up not only your coffee, but also your mother-in-law's political opinions. Maybe do my mother's political opinions. I don't know. I'm going to have to try the frother sometime. Yeah, anyway. You'll also receive a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch." It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just $99. This is for the ones who have been waiting and watching and seeing 1775 blow up on Rumble and are wondering if it's actually worth it. Well, here it is. Spoiler alert. It is. Go to, and this is the website, go to 1775coffee.com. That's the numbers 177 and 5, the word coffee.com / for those of you that don't know, that's your question mark key on your keyboard, /studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they are gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. Go to 1775coffee.com /studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they are gone. All right. Well, you know, we talked about the SCOTUS ruling where it said, and he used soft language in this whole, you may be outstepping your boundaries, district judges. You may be possibly, but I don't know, because I'm not using the strong language, the assertive language. I can't remember what they call that, but anyway, this is what it results in. So here we have another federal judge who has now decided to block Trump's birthright citizenship ban yet again, although they are changing the rules a little bit. So now what this judge has done is basically said, oh yeah, the parents, we're taking the parents out of the case. Now, by the way, this is the exact same case that was heard at the Supreme Court with regards to the citizenship, with regards to the blanket orders. This is the one that was argued in front of them, but not on the merits of the case of the birthright citizenship part, but just mainly on the merits of whether or not the district court judges had the ability to issue nationwide injunctions Well, he's decided to change it. And now he's making this where it's going to be what's called a class action lawsuit, which, by the way, the SCOTUS actually said that was a possibility to make it a class action lawsuit. And so what he's done is he's basically removed all the parents and has put all the infants in it. He's testing the lower court powers. U.S. District Judge Joseph LaPlante said that he is going to issue a written ruling explaining his decision. The injunction narrows the scope down of the class to the infants. He's removing the parents in the case. In his order, LaPlante ruled that deprivation of citizenship as held by the 14th Amendment changes a longstanding policy that would create irreparable harm. So obviously it's probably going to be quickly appealed by the Trump administration. And, yeah, that's, again, the justices, of course, in that original Supreme Court case that was, ruled by 6-3 in late June, that, plaintiffs seeking nationwide relief must file their cases as a class action lawsuit, which is narrowing the instances in when the lower court district courts can actually issue so-called universal injunctions. I'm still sitting here looking at this and going, I don't think that they even have the ability in that particular case to issue outside of the class. I mean, how would a class, if you're not part of that class, how would the nationwide injunction work at this point? But anyway, so here's part of the problem, though, and the reason why this actually happened. So Justice Department officials told a federal judge last week that they plan to begin enforcing Trump's birthright citizenship order as early as July 27th in recognition of the 30-day stay included within the Supreme Court's ruling, showing that they plan to act quickly. So this is part of the reason why this happened so fast. I guarantee you what's going to happen with this is it's going to go back to the Supreme Court. I mean, the Supreme Court, and by the way, too, the Supreme Court actually has the case on the docket for their October session. So all of this kind of scenario, I mean, a lot of this is just judicial wrangling, to be honest with you. And so, yeah, we're going to have to see where this goes. But again, I've pointed out, as multiple other people have pointed out, there's a lot of evidence that demonstrates that the idea of a foreign-born person or a person who is of foreign heritage, meaning that they are a citizen of another country, coming here and dropping a baby, does not qualify under the 14th Amendment as being a citizen, as defined under the 14th Amendment. And that was even argued and shown to not be the intent of the wording of the 14th Amendment, folks, during the Senate congressional debates on the proposition of the 14th. And I've shown it to you. I've demonstrated it. It's in the Congressional Globe, which is the official record of that case, of many things throughout history, and it's there. Senator Howard clearly stated this does not include aliens, foreign people born in another country and coming here. It clearly states that. And oftentimes what they, meaning they, the other side, references is the Wong Kim Ark case, which if you actually read the opinion of the Wong Kim Ark case, the Supreme Court at the time clearly states that the gentleman who the case is about, Wong Kim Ark, was the descendant of legal permanent residents here in the United States. So it was a specific situation that was being dealt with here in terms of the fact that the Chinese could not actually become American citizens at the time, but they were legal permanent residents. So their classification was as close to a naturalized citizen as they could possibly get at the time. And so that just, it further indicates that, yes, it doesn't have to deal, it's not only whether or not you were born on the soil, but whether or not you were a descendant of at least one naturalized or natural born citizen of the United States. So anyway, this is just going to be one of those things that they're going to be going back and forth about until finally the United States Supreme Court actually puts this one to bed. I can only hope, honestly, that the Supreme Court actually looks at the historical value and not just the legal cases that are in front of them. That they look at the historical record and where the ideas and where the legislature heads were at when they created the 14th. But anyway, one justice who doesn't, and she admits it, she doesn't care about legal precedent. She doesn't care about the law. She doesn't care about historical and everything else. Yeah. Anyway, that would be Ketanji Brown Jackson, because she apparently writes Supreme Court's opinions to basically tell people how I feel. So in other words, what she's saying is she doesn't write her Supreme Court opinions based in facts and evidence and historical value and case law and any of that. She just basically wants to tell you, oh, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about it? She basically just says, I just feel I have a wonderful opportunity to tell people, in my opinions, how I feel about the issues. I called her an activist a long time ago. That's literally what an activist is. A true judge and jurist would set their feelings aside and rule based on the facts, based on the facts of the case, court precedent, real reason, logic, intelligence, those kinds of things that, leftists seem to be lacking. And she clearly is a leftist, because of the fact that she also wants to talk about, this is how I feel. The role of a judge is not to like the law necessarily, to like any particular law, but the judge's job is to rule impassionately about a case that is put before them based on the letter of the law. That's the point. Well, she went and was speaking with ABC News hack Lindsay Davis, and I'm calling her a hack because that's what this article in the Federalist is saying. Here, I'll show it to you. There she is. There's Ketanji Brown Jackson. Woohoo! Anyway, but anyway, it was a wide-ranging interview. It was on Saturday. And she spoke to a bunch of attendees about her 2024 memoir and her experiences while sitting on the nation's high court. But the most head-turning part, of course, of this, where the question from Davis came whether or not Ketanji Brown Jackson is concerned about the current state of American democracy. So I hate to tell you this, but Americans don't have democracy. We live in a republic. It's a guaranteed republic. In fact, that is written in the Constitution, that we shall have a guaranteed Republican form of government. Not a democracy. So anyway, Jackson said that she has expressed support for the American people, leading in terms of the policies and the way in which our government operates. Except there's only one problem. She doesn't really understand the Constitution, obviously. Yeah. So she talked about her SCOTUS writing of SCOTUS opinions, saying that she feels she's been privileged to use the writings and the work to explain her views about the way our government does and should work. The way the court does and should work, except there's only one problem. It's all about her feelings. That has nothing to do with the actual facts, which is how the Constitution is written and properly interpreted. Yeah. So, anyway, she said, and I quote, "I just feel that I have a wonderful opportunity to tell people, in my opinions, how I feel about the issues." Jackson, Ms. Jackson, I'm going to call you Ms. Jackson because you're not a judge. You're an activist. I'm basically going to tell you this. If you wanted to tell people how you feel about the issues, create an opinion show like this one. Resign your seat on the Supreme Court because you're obviously not a constitutional jurist, as you should be, sitting on that most esteemed bench, the highest court in the greatest country that has ever graced the earth, called the United States. Yeah, you want to tell people how you feel? Start a podcast. Write a blog. Write a column for some of your leftist propagandist outlets. Because that literally is not what you were supposed to do when you're sitting on a bench. You are supposed to leave your feelings aside and rule literally on the letters of the law. That's how you're supposed to do it, on the facts, on the evidence, using reason and logic and clear paths from point A to point Z, following the evidence and the facts of the case. That obviously isn't what you do. You don't do that. So anyway, Jackson, of course, comes out with the whole idea that, yeah, she's, she's just going to say how she feels. Now, one thing that was interesting during the interview, the ABC, was it NBC or ABC? The ABC news anchor, or the ABC anchor, said, "Yeah, you've used like 10 times as many words as the rest of the justices in your oral arguments and your opinions." Yeah, that's because you're basically saying you're filling a whole bunch of crap in there. Plus, some of her opinions, and I haven't read all of them because Lord knows, I really am not interested in reading her opinions. But she apparently has used things like memes in the opinion. Where the hell did they get this person? I mean, honestly, where did they get her? It's not the job of a judge. Any judge. Doesn't matter what judge. It's not their job to insert their feelings. See, that's part of the problem why we have so many damn lawfare stuff that we have right now. Because it's all about the feelings. It's not about the actual facts of the case, the law, the letter of the law the way it is supposed to be interpreted and reasoned out. Yeah. Judges injecting their feelings into a matter is a gross abjugation of proper jurisprudence, according to the article here. That's just a fantastic phrase. And is an insult to the actual intended role of the judicial branch. Yeah. So there you go. I can't even imagine. I honestly can't imagine how people, first of all, how she even got through the Senate. Somebody must have paid off all the senators to get her ass through, because the minute that she said she didn't know what a woman is, I think should have disqualified her completely for being on a judge, because how is she going to rule on a rape case? I mean, honestly, if it's a boy versus a girl, or a man versus a woman on a rape case, how can she even say that the rape happened when you can't even tell what the human being who was supposedly the victim actually is? if you can't discern what a woman is, that, logically speaking, means that you can't discern what a man is. So if you can't discern what a man or a woman is, how are you even going to logically come to the conclusion that there was even the crime of rape that occurred? Because that's usually a man and a woman. I'm just asking. Well, I think I figured out at least some of where this crap is coming from. And especially over the course of the last, 30 to 40 years or even more. Okay. Because it appears that middle school textbooks have been inserting what they are calling facts, and they actually are not facts. They are falsehoods. What am I talking about? Well, here in Newsmax, middle school textbooks flunk what's called climate science. So what happened is there was a chemist, his name is Martin Cornell, and he went through and highlighted a bunch of inaccuracies and omissions in K through 12 educational materials produced by major publishers. Okay, so I remember back in the day, we used to have, these books, and they're honestly, when I was in school, these books were like several years old. Many of them were, pretty beat up. Let's be honest. But this guy apparently has gone through, Martin Cornell has gone through several of these educational materials that were produced by, McGraw-Hill. I don't know some of the other ones that are out there, McGraw-Hill I can think of. But anyway, one of the things that he points out, he says these materials incorrectly assert that carbon dioxide, which of course is the gas that is essential for carbon-based life. These books incorrectly say that carbon dioxide is a pollutant derived from fossil fuels and is the primary factor controlling global temperatures. These books also point out that additionally, warming is portrayed as a universally and significantly harmful. Except there's only one problem. That isn't the case. That isn't true. That hasn't even been fully recognized as a fact. It's not even a fact. Yeah. So, anyway, he does go through that. He said that he and his team of concerned volunteers are now actively engaging the Texas State Board of Education officials to correct false and misleading statements put forth by major textbook publishers, which are distributed, of course, by other states. While much of the material is solid science, he does mention, or the team mentions, that the sections on climate science shift is biased, and unsupported, telling students what to think instead of how to think critically. And this is my major point about the public education system. Because I'm going to point this out, a teacher who might be a science teacher may or may not understand all of the intricacies of a particular subject in science. For an example, outside of chemistry, which would require sort of a well knowledge base, a really good knowledge base of chemistry in order to be able to teach it. Physics can be taught by somebody who may not be necessarily a physicist. And some other things in science can also be put out. Now, this group points out that such an indoctrination by error and omission begins heavily in the 8th grade. Most particularly asserting the effects of fossil fuel burning that have, quote, warmed oceans, acidified oceans, and increased extreme weather. Now, there's this this guy that I'm just now following on Facebook, like within the last 2 weeks, and he is actually a meteorologist, and he keeps posting the opposite of all this climate science. And he keeps posting how, our weather, while the left is sitting here saying, oh my gosh, this is the hottest stuff on record. Doomsday kind of crap. He comes back and he points out, no, actually, if you look at the proper recorded values, and he brings the science back. So these alarmist representations in these books are, of course, false. The sun actually warms the ocean. Saltwater chemistry prevents an acidic ocean, and weather extremes have not increased more frequently. I seem to recall from my days in elementary school, they used to tell us, and this was, I'm going to be dating myself, but this is like toward the end of the 70s, of the 1970s. And they used to tell us, oh, yeah, we have a finite amount of oil, and within 30 years, all the oil in the earth is going to be gone. Yeah. No. Anyway. By the way, one of those book folks is Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, one of those book publishers, misleads students about ocean acidification during demonstrations with tap water to represent seawater, whereas using real seawater demonstrates that the oceans remain firmly basic even when exposed to a much higher than current atmospheric levels of CO2. Its 8th grade teacher's guide states we can mitigate the global warming trend by significantly reducing our use of fossil fuels. Now, this is the thing. A teacher is going to follow the teacher's guide. And if the teacher's guide states that, who is the teacher going to, are they going to say something else? No, probably not. Now, following up on this, the 8th grade student activity guide from the same publisher asks students to list things in their daily lives that increase the amount of carbon in the air. Burning fuels, breathing. Breathing? Yeah. Okay. Generating electricity. Oh, yeah, that's going to be needed to add all of those extra EVs. And by the way, eating beef is another thing. Yeah. McGraw-Hill, in the same kind of section, writes, people can limit future climate change by reducing carbon emissions, reducing consumption, using renewable energy, and developing technology to move carbon out of the atmosphere. Yeah, they also, McGraw-Hill also advises students, we can take action to reduce global warming by influencing the carbon cycle by utilizing renewable energy, making laws to limit carbon emissions, planting trees, and restoring wetlands. And you wonder why these young people are coming out and they're sitting here talking about all of this climate change and, oh, we're going to be dead in 12 years. And you wonder who created Greta Thunberg. Seriously, who created Greta Thunberg? Public school systems. Yeah. This is a indoctrination. This is just a small sliver into the viewpoint of the indoctrination that we have running in our educational system today. It starts early in elementary and middle schools, and it continues all the way through the university system. This is the whole point. And these publishers are the major publishers for classes in schools and school districts throughout the entire country. And you wonder why we have indoctrinated morons coming out believing that the sun is going to boil us to death and we're going to die in 12 years. I mean, seriously. All run by leftist lunatics. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel in order to hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit thumbs ups, or if you really want to, a thumbs down. Across all of my platforms, whether it is YouTube, X, Facebook, and of course the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.